Welcome to Brit Wrestling Fan Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Andy, and as always, I'm joined by my pal, Pantera. How are we doing, buddy? You okay?
Mr. Andy or Andrew. I guess we could be formal today. I'm doing great. Last weekend, we're a little bit delayed about talking about it, but I feel like All Out was just such an awesome event that we kind of needed to take it in, breathe, and not react right away. And I think that I'm speaking for you as well when I say that we fully enjoyed it, and we're actually really hopeful for the industry. Maybe not as a whole for a few different companies, but I do believe that we have brighter days ahead of us that we could actually talk about and not crap on.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what, mate? One thing I did say myself after the All Out pay-per-view is I like watching wrestling and I'll watch any wrestling. It's, whether it's, you start looking at this competing or whatever people go on about is like, I'll still watch it because I like wrestling. And I did watch AEW, and after I watched it, I sat back for the first time after All Out and said, these could actually compete with WWE.
We don't say that often because they are such a big player, and WWE still can gain momentum, and will prove yesterday how they can actually make such an impact. But it's just nice to see. You should take somebody serious. And Tony Khan, I don't agree with everything you do, but man, you've been bankrolling some of these people in and just creating such an awesome product. So, Andy, what did you think of the matches? What did you think of what was going on with All Out?
It was great. I tell you what, one of the matches that, I won't go into everything that happens on the show, obviously, the Brian and thingy, Brian Danielson and Adam Cole. I thought in my head, I let it settle before I made any judgments on it, but when I reacted the first time I watched it, I thought, why have they done, wow, this is great. And then I pondered on it a bit and I was like, should they have done this both on the same show? And I was thinking, and I couldn't make my mind up. I was thinking, should they have debuted Brian differently than when they debuted Adam Cole? I was sitting there thinking about it, and then I was like, I watched it back again. I was like, no, it was perfect.
I agree. As a boxer, and as somebody that knows how to do combat sports, you're not going to stop after you do one or two body punches, right? No, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going in succession, and that's what they did here. They did it with Ruby Riott. They did it with Adam Cole. They did CM Punk's first match back. They did it with Bryan Danielson, and I think that's just they layered it, and that's double downing on yourself and betting on yourself. And they did the right thing there.
Yeah.
They also took big chances with some of the matches that they had there. Were all of them successes? No, but it's impossible to do up and down a card.
No. I mean, the one match I will mention is the Jericho MJF match. I'm glad that happens because that's over now. We got it done with. The other one that I did like, and I didn't think I would do because, as much as everybody might be a fan of them, I'm not a big fan of them, the Young Bucks. I think, they're very, very spot filled. And I thought you put them with Pantera and, the Luchas, it's going to be very spot filled, which it was. But I hold my hands up where I was wrong. I thought it was a great match.
I understand what people say. Things didn't make sense, but in a spot fest, not everything's going to make sense. Not a lot are going to make sense.
No.
I'm just going to say the Young Bucks are not for me.
No, as I say, they're not normally for me, but I did like that match. What star rating do you think Dave Meltzer give that match?
I know the answer already. and I can't go on his point of view, to be honest.
No.
5. What we got? 5 3/4.
5 3/4, mate.
That was better than Flair Steamboat. That was better than Rock Hogan.
Yeah.
Rock Hogan doesn't even go to that. That's why nothing makes sense. Who's merit? And people say,
to be fair, though, if you go off a pure wrestling match, it probably was better than Rock Hogan. Just based on the spots and whatnot. If you take away who it is wrestling, it probably was a better match than that.
Let me tell you something. If we have an extra hour, you and I will really debate how good that match was.
Yeah.
And how it was. That's not the Young Bucks don't have ring psychology. There is none.
No.
When they pause and they take a look and they say, "Look at my shoe with thumbtacks on it." I'm sorry, but screw you. It's dumb.
Yeah.
And did you notice? Did you notice when Phoenix goes to the top, and then the brother who takes the brunt of the force from that crossbody just gets right back up? I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm not
Yeah.
emotionally invested in these
I was.
guys.
Do you know when it was that got a bit for me when they done the Canadian Destroyer off the top rope, and then it's just like no, he's
Especially on
going.
the apron.
Yeah, he's
Did you
going
ever
too
look your
far now.
opponent in the eye and then just do a Canadian Destroyer on the what is it, on the apron, and they look at each other? It's like dueling. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I couldn't. But
I did like it. I'm
yeah,
not gonna lie. I thought it was okay as far as the Young Bucks match goes for me. As I say, I'm not a big fan, and I'm not as part of the hype as what some people are with them. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
CM Punk looked well. Thought he's done a good job.
yeah. No, we were talking how Darby kind of had to guide him that match.
He did.
But it was definitely Darby's best match.
Yeah, and I
And
think
Punk,
it was a good match for Punk to lean into a little bit. But give Punk his due. I thought he looked technically quite good.
yes,
You know,
yes.
I don't
We
think we're going to see full-fledged Punk or nothing too spectacular for about 6 months or so.
mhm. But
Somebody.
at that
Sorry,
point, do you have him booked every week though to wrestle?
don't know. I'd have him as wrestling on TV, 100%. But would I have him every week? No, no.
No,
We don't see
no,
Kenny Omega wrestle every week for that same reason.
no. But Punk's an attraction, and he should be. It's
Mm.
just the same thing with Bryan
One of my
Danielson.
because one of my friends said to me, and it was a good point by them. But then I think my point was even more valid. Is he turned around and said, "Well, why is Punk hovering around with Darby Allin, and then he's going with looks like Team Taz now from what we've seen on Dynamite." And he turned around and was saying, like, why is he there when he's a massive, massive attraction who's been away for so long and stuff? And Brian Danielson comes walking into kind of looks like a few with Omega and the Elite. And I turned around and I said to my friend, I said, like, well, exactly what you're saying. He's been out for 7 years. Daniel Bryant, Daniel, can't get it right with this now, but Daniel Bryanson, Brian Danielson, the American Dragon, let's just call him that.
Sure.
Daniel Bryanson is Brian Danielson, sorry, again, is he can go now. He can jump straight in the ring. He can have a wrestling match. He can have a top quality wrestling match. Punk's been out the ring, as we said, for so long. He needs these little feuds and these build to get him where he needs to be. Like with Team Taz, he'll probably come up against a few bigger guys now. Can he lift them up and do the GTS to them? Can he get that done? Can he move about the ring a bit faster and take control of a match in that sense? Well, it for me personally, they are doing 100% the right thing with CM Punk right now.
Yeah. Look at a 2006 Shawn Michaels.
Mm.
He'd go out there and fight Chris Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
Christian, and it wasn't for a title. Now we have a smart fan that when you could look at them and say, all right, this guy's just there to compete. He wants to build the talent, and us fans can say he wants to work with this person just to, we're not going to say put them over, but to get the best match that they could. That's why when we talk about Team Taz, and I said this to you, I want to see him against Ricky Starks, and I think somebody's listening to me because I'm hoping that this happens, and it should.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree with you. I agree.
I also want to touch up because we started off the pay-per-view with a perfect match. I thought Miro and Eddie Kingston was just a great match. That was like I think that's being overlooked at how good that was.
Miro
Back
is
and forth.
being overlooked in general with that title. He's just going about his business, and he's awesome. One of the best
Because
wrestlers on AEW for me.
yes, and not only that, I think he's actually more valuable than the actual champion.
I do
Because
think you need to add a mouthpiece like Lana or like CJ or somebody else with him. I think he does need a bit of a mouthpiece.
Yeah, I agree. Although
You know.
God's champion is really like that's just brilliant.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I just feel like he does need a bit of a thing. Do you think we could see Aiden English return with him at some point? I
It,
think that'd be good.
it would be funny. It was a really random pairing.
But it
And
worked.
it did. It did. It got them both over, you know. But he's with TNA, or he was with Dina Perrazzo at
Mhm.
TNA for a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit, right?
yeah.
So, which kind of makes sense
Mm,
in a way. But yeah, I think they could reunite. Um, and we give him crap all the time,
hmm
but Mox didn't mail it in
No.
because he acted like a heel.
hmm
Look at everything that he did during this match. Um, Kobayashi,
hmm
who do you find? Yeah, watching that movie, watching that match, I said, "Wow, Mox is a heel in this.
hmm
He's stopping the guy on his way. He works better as a heel. If that's the type of wrestler that you're going to get when he's a
Mm,
bad guy, you got to keep him that way."
yeah.
Remember, he came in and when he first came in, he healed it up with Omega when
Mm,
this all started. So I really think that they got to rethink of how they're going to work with him.
yeah. Yeah. Just one thing that I'm going to ask you on this. I mean, just before we do go into that, one thing that I think really needs mentioning is I'm going to hold my hands up when I'm in work and I've got a little bit of time on my dinner or whatever it may be. I will catch up with Being Elite on YouTube, right? And I thought it was a really, really clever line that a lot of people didn't pick up on. It did get picked up in the media in the end, but I picked up with it as soon as I watched it. I knew it was coming out. So when he defeated Christian and he was saying, "Nobody can beat me alive or dead," and then lights hit out. So and then we see obviously Adam Cole come. Now, in being in the elite back when Adam Cole was on that show on YouTube and was part of that, when he left for WWE, they actually killed him on
Yeah,
being the elite to get rid of him. So when he turned around and said in the ring, it doesn't matter if you're alive or dead, and the lights cut out, and I was like, this is Adam Cole, this. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, whoa. You know, but I thought it was very well done, and it was a nice little subtle nod to how they ended with them to how it we begin again. You know what I mean?
he was reincarnated.
Mm, yeah, I like that. And the other thing, Brian Danielson thought was again, I think the pop was bigger because people didn't expect him. I think once they'd seen Cole come, they expected that to be the end, and then
Yeah,
we got Cole.
it was fun. It was a good little spot.
Mm,
I don't want to see Marco Stunt ever associated with any of those people. I don't want to see him ever doing the save. I don't want to see Brandon Cutler there too.
yeah,
Mitigate your product.
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go straight on to Dynamite, Paul, because I just feel like it just rolls straight into this. Now, one thing for me was with this is I was kind of like, okay, right, they've done the pay per view, that they've paid the money for these guys to come in, they've put all their eggs in one basket by putting Brian in and also Adam Cole and Ruby Riot. They basically threw everything that they had at it for now in the main event. So I'm sitting there and I'm pondering. This was on like Monday or Tuesday, and I'm thinking, okay, it's all right to put these stars out there and stuff, but Dynamite has got to be good because if Dynamite isn't good, you've wasted your fucking money. Because the fans that you will bring in just for Dynamite, just for CM Punk, or just for Daniel Bryanson, you've got to hook them at the first attempt because otherwise you're not going to get them in. Do you know what I mean? Now, I've been looking at a bit of stats for this, right? So actually got some good stats to go behind what I'm saying here with because I was that interested in it. I got some stats.
Hmm. Okay.
So first
I like
stat
numbers. I like
in
numbers.
our lovely demo that AEW love to go on about, they beat Raw. And
18 to 49.
mm-hmm, by
Yep.
3,000 people.
Why do you think that is? Because of the new faces?
And also, but they beat them in the 18 to 39 demographic, or 49, whatever bloody is. I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, now the second part of this is, what was the highest rated segment on AEW this week? Is in the
It would
highest
have
viewed.
it would have to be Punk, right?
Uh-uh.
Soho?
Ruby Soho's debut match was the #1 watched segment on AEW,
Good for her.
which is fucking massive for me. Massive. Now, what you've got to ask yourself is that down to Ruby Soho, or is that a combination of Ruby and Dr. Britt Baker? Because she is fucking white hot for me.
I think I think it's that, and the fact that they're starving for female, because
Okay.
that division is porous.
Now, very interesting. What do you think was the second highest segment on that show?
Malachi Black.
Mm-mm.
Okay. The return of Mail-In Mox.
Nope.
Got
Jacob
me.
Freeman.
Who?
MJF.
Oh, I had to
Which
rewatch that twice because of how good that was.
it was awesome, mate.
Yep.
Awesome. And one thing I am going to say here is AEW put Chris Jericho with MJF for how long? Obviously, it's made MJF a lot up, stuff like that, yeah. But how great is it that they haven't got MJF and fed him to a Brian or a Punk, or which they could well have done. They could well have done, because he's a ready-made heel for them. And they've put him with Brian Pillman Jr. And I thought that was a stroke of genius to do that in his hometown. They had his Aunt Mary there, which everybody knows from Dark Side of the Ring, or hardcore wrestling fans will do. And his sister, he's a hometown boy in Cincinnati. I tell you what, mate, you've got to give them kudos, because that segment was just perfect for me.
This is one of the first times when you could look at that and say, all right, they're not just jamming another long feud in, because sometimes you have to stall these things, for timing. So whoever they plan on having him go up against, if you put him against MJF, or MJF against, let's say Bryan Danielson, at that point, you really have to work a program. It's okay if they stall it 3-4 weeks, but now they have something. Not only is it in Cincinnati, but the match is also going to take place in New York too. And who's from New York? No, but who's from New York? It's also MJF territory. Now he's not a Queens guy, but it definitely, it adds to it. He actually talks shit about Queens, which I thought was really funny. But he will get cheered. He's going to get cheered, and then you watch the Monster Heat. But this is good, because now you have a 3-4 week thing going on, and I like the fact that they're still teasing a dissension of him and Wardlow.
Yeah,
that played out great.
They've got that brilliant. And then, as I say, I thought Brian Pillman Jr. looked really good in this as well. I didn't think he looked out of place.
You know why? Griff Garrison wasn't with him.
Yeah.
I think that that guy might be talented, and amongst the indie circles, people love him. They always cheer for him when they had the 5 people around the ring, when they had the pandemic dynamites. But I'm telling you, you get Pillman to be his own guy. I prefer him to be a heel. But if you have Pillman there and he just becomes his own guy, he will be more marketable than the varsity bonds.
Well, the thing is, as well, is, as we said, the Hollywood Blondes with his dad and Steve Austin, 2 of them were much better apart. And, but at the moment, it's good for him to be in a tag team and learn and stuff like that. But now he's getting a little bit of a taste of his own feud and his own bit. It's really good work again, because my worry with AEW, and to be fair, they're proving me wrong, which is great, is I expected this to be the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan show and Kenny Omega, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
we're still getting these little stories now outside of the main event, which is really, really promising. Something I'm enjoying. You know, if you look at this show, everything meant something in this show. So
Yep.
just very, very quickly, you had um Ruby shot it's Dustin Rhodes versus Malachi Black. Malachi Black wins because he's feuding with Cody, Dustin's brother. All makes sense. Okay. Then we go into Miro Eddie Kings.
Bad match, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I'm just talking about what meaning and stuff like that. You know, it's
Mhm.
never going to be a great match with Dustin Rhodes at this time in his career, unfortunately. You know what I mean? But
Oh, no, hold on. He's done some really good things. He's definitely in the best shape of his life, and he's putting on some of the best work in his life too. This match, these guys were just not on the same page,
no,
and you could
no.
tell they knew it too.
But
Um,
I think it. You know, no disrespect to Dustin, he probably can have a great match, and I have seen him have some good matches. But when you're going up against a kickboxer who's very fast movement,
yeah,
and you can't react to that
yeah,
and bump quick
yeah.
enough and whatnot, it's not going to end well, mate. It's never going to gel well. But anyway, that match, you know, it meant something because of the Cody feud. Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter is one of Britt Baker's henchwomen. Meant something. There was a something behind it. Do you know what I mean? You know, Dante Martin versus Powerhouse Hobbs, probably one for me that wasn't really, you know, nah. But
Why are
suppose you,
they giving him so much time though?
yeah, they
Dante,
must think something of him.
do you know Dante Martin's had more matches than Sammy Guevara this year?
Mm, should be
Come
there.
on.
I know. Well,
What
let's
are they
look at that.
doing?
So that part of it probably wasn't great, but you have to have a let me up segment, don't you? So that's probably what they've put it in there for, which is fine. Let people go to the toilet, get something to eat out the confectionery.
He's
Don't
QT Marshall and Paul White. That's what
yeah,
it was for
or
Wednesday.
yeah, or going or as a AEW go and buy a t-shirt because we all know they're a t-shirt company, as they say. Then we had the MGF one, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Moxley versus Suzuki. You know, you've got to look at that and go to yourself, okay, that was a match that was um, set up and all out. So it meant something. Again, you know, that match we'll go into a little bit more in a second. Sean
Mhm.
Spears and the FTR versus the Dark Order. Brilliant because of the story that come out at the end where they all started fighting and pushing each other and stuff.
But why wasn't this advertised? I didn't hear anything about it. If I'm an old school guy, man, and I think you understand it too.
Mm,
If you put FTR on a card, I'm gonna watch
yeah.
because they're the best wrestling tag team out there today. And that's right, I said it. They're the
Mm.
best wrestling tag team
They
out
are,
there
but
today.
at the end of the day, mate, AEW don't see that in them because they'd be more up where they are at the moment. They're just floating around mid cards. This
That's
story's
enough.
not about the FTR or Sean Spears, it's about the Dark Order.
Yeah, but
Mm.
well, not really, because Tully came out and said this really weird promo afterwards. Does
Mm.
he want to fight Sting?
Yes, apparently. But
Okay.
do you think they are starting the Dark Order story about them imploding and that for a certain Mr. Wyndham Rotunda to come and be the savior of the Dark Order?
I hope so. And
Yeah.
by I hope, I mean I hope they make them heel.
Yeah. See, you can't make them. I don't see it being heel. I think with the background story to it, and if you know Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda, whichever one you want to call him, if he comes in and takes over from where Bros Lee was, and he's the savior, you can't have them as it. They can't be a bag. They can do further down the line, but if you try to do it at first, it will not stick because the fans won't let it stick because they know the backstory of you know Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt being so close together and whatnot like that, and they'll just reject it if you try and make them heels. They'll still cheer them.
It's like when Chavo was a heel and then Eddie died, and then all of a sudden he just would get massive pops.
Mhm. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. And that's the thing
that's
is I just think like it's too emotional for it to be go the other way. Don't get me wrong, 2 3 months down the line, bang, you change it. It's no problem. It can be done then. But
yep,
that initial reaction to Bray Wyatt coming in, and if they are going with him with the Dark Order, then you know it's not gonna happen. It's not
yeah,
gonna happen straight away.
yep.
Um,
It
Then
was a good. I like that whole piece though. With
yeah,
that 6 man, or
yeah,
it was 6 men, right? Yeah,
it was, yeah.
yeah.
You
Do you
know,
think Sean Spears has value?
yes, but I see him more in the mid cards. I do. Don't think he's ever
He
going to be a champion.
no, but I don't think he needs to be. I like the way he looks,
Mm,
and
yeah.
I think that he's got value.
Oh, he definitely has got value, but as you quite like say, I like the way he looks as well, but I don't see him being a champion. And his fucking beard is amazing. So, you
Oh,
know. But right, okay. So the other, so as we say, if you look at that card, as we've just quite said, everything meant something. Even
hmm
the Brian Danielson thingy. The one thing I'm going to go on about this elite one now, right? And I want to say to AEW and whoever wrote that segment, bravo,
hmm
because Kenny come out and Adam Cole was amazing here. The way he went up and said to Shivani, hey, you mentioned Dr. TNT, again, slap your face, get out the ring in there. And I thought that was great. Real life mimicking all that stuff. Awesome. And when Daniel Bryan come out and Kenny was like, give us some room, guys, please, give us some room. And then to add the little moments in the ring. But for me, the brilliant bit about this whole segment was when Brian said to him, let's take that for that title. And Kenny Omega went, that's not how it works around here. As in ranking systems, brilliant.
ranking systems, but then people get Ruby Soho right away is a. I don't know.
But she got through it
I'm not
through
a.
a battle royal. And let's face it, the women's division is weak, so they're probably going to have to do that. But you give it a title shot in a legitimate manner.
I don't like it. Do you like the ranking system?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay.
And I think the ranking systems are going to protect AEW from themselves because without this ranking system, you're probably going to have Brian Danielson versus Kenny Omega very, very quickly. With AEW, know with their ranking system, they can't do that, and that's saving them from themselves because we don't need to see that match right now.
Okay. So now we're looking at the Butcher and the Blade.
Mm-hmm.
They're undefeated this year.
So they'll be next in line for the Lucha Bros.
Who the hell wants to see that? But you know who's ranked below them?
Mm-hmm.
Santana Ortiz. That's why the ranking system to me is a farce.
Mm.
Why is that happening?
Well,
Come on.
but we'll find out. You know what I mean? It was like if you look at the Lucha Bros were just behind thingy, and before that, Jungle Express were ahead of them. And when they beat Jungle Express, they went ahead of Jungle Express on that. And for me, I like it. I do like it. I do like the systems, and I trust in the way that they're doing things. So I just leave them to it. You know what I mean? Let them just carry on with what they're doing, and I'm happy with
Okay.
it.
But then, all right. So then you have the two champions. I like how they consolidate this. You have
Mm.
Miro and Kenny up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But first in line is Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
And then second after that is Will Hobbs. Do you see Hobbs getting any title shot? That's why this just.
But does Hobbs stay there if somebody gets 2 wins in a couple of weeks on Dynamite? Kenny doesn't defend the title all the time. So
That's.
then that can change quite quickly and move around a little bit. And
I'm
that's what I
talking
like
about.
about it.
I'm talking about for storylines though. That's why it's not consistent.
Yeah, but the thing is, Kenny is just for Christian Cage, who was number 1 contender. Perfect. Now he's having a little bit of a to do with thingy. It could end up being what's his name? Hobbs could be just fed to Miro in the next week or two. There's no reason
That
why you
wouldn't.
can't go for that.
Yeah, but that wouldn't make sense though, because you got two heels.
Or well, just because he's heel it doesn't mean you could turn him or the other ways you could do it, but or
Mhm.
somebody underneath him wins 2 matches in a row on Rampage and Dynamite and they're ahead of him then.
Okay, but how come Jade Cargill doesn't get her title shot then?
You
We
will
could
do.
dissect this
Yeah,
in so
yeah,
many different.
yeah.
It's.
It's
We
so
could go on.
it is. But I just like the way that they are sticking to that instead of trying to stick to it for all this time and then someone like Brian Danielson comes in and it's like, whoa, 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 we're gonna, oh, we need to get him in this. We can just because WWE are known for that. Oh, we'll just drop the rankings or well, you just jump ahead because it makes sense. Where they're still trying to stick to the ranking system, and I like it. I do like it for that, you know. But long term, I don't know, mate. We'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
But
Yep.
okay, so we'll move off Dynamite now. Raw wasn't a bad show this week. Wasn't a bad show at all. We're only going to just go through it a little bit. Tag Team Turmoil was okay for me
Hmm.
because it set up towards Extreme Rules, and also it meant something and it went out throughout the show. Sometimes, as we've said so many times in Raw, it can just be kind of all over the place and things just place wherever for the sake of it. Where on this one, I felt like a lot of things had a purpose again.
It split up. It was weird because they don't ever have the dynamic of splitting up a gauntlet during the
Mm,
show.
yeah.
And so I believe they kind of sandwich that or bookend that in two different ways.
Mm,
Um, I like the pairing of MVP and Lashley.
mm,
Like kind of like the mentor and the pupil type of deal
mm,
going on. We've spoken highly about MVP. We've spoken highly about Lashley right now.
yeah.
And we like the dynamic of what's being created with Orton and Riddle
Yeah.
with them too. Um, I've seen people, we talked about Omos and how limited he is.
Mhm.
Um, but it's, if you go after certain writers, they're saying how he's probably the worst wrestler they've ever seen. And I guess they forgot about Great Khali,
Yeah.
so it's just weird to me. But
Mm.
I did like the whole dynamic of the gauntlet. Were you a huge fan of the New Day at all?
I was when they were all together, yeah. Now I feel like
Yeah.
they're just kind of going stale for me.
I think they're more about their outfits more so
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
I think once you get these guys to turn heel, um, then it actually, would just make a lot more
Mm.
sense for them.
And put them
You know,
back with Big E because that's another thing I'm not liking. I don't like Big E on his own.
why was he last SmackDown? Why was he dressed up as janitor? It's not
So,
funny.
so.
It's not funny.
And
Like, come on.
it's even like his whole music and everything is just like it's a crap version of the New Day. You know, I'm just not into him. I'm not into him without the New Day. Nothing against Big E. I like Big E,
Hmm.
but I think he just looks out of place without the New Day.
He's kind of just slumming around, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for a guy that has a tailor-made title shot, it's like we're just waiting for something to happen with this guy.
Mm,
And he's just a goof. He's just a
yeah.
clown. It's
Ju-
like you're not Santino, but who are you?
mm, okay. So the next thing after that we see in the other bit I want to mention is the last thing I want to mention on Raw, to be honest with you, is Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax. Good little match. Win for Charlotte, and then now we've got the Alexa Bliss that we were going to see thingy. Now I heard that on SummerSlam weekend they sold out 3 times over the weekend, and they sent more stock of Lily dolls. Right, so expect the Alexa Bliss title run very soon. That's all I'll say.
Is there any women's division we could really like right now
No,
besides Britt Baker?
yeah,
That's what's going to elevate the NXT, the AEW women's division
mhm.
is the floundering of the WWE's woman.
I know. The only thing is just look at the AEW one. You've got Jade Cargill, you've got Britt Baker, who's awesome at the top of it. And then you've got Ruby Soho now. You've got Red Velvet, not great, but not too bad.
Jade Cargill, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of people there, and if you look at Raw now, it's like the one thing I don't like about WWE is we have to see the same matches over and over and over and over, right? So we've had Nia Jax versus Charlotte last week. Now we got Nia Jax versus Charlotte,
2 weeks.
right? Why could they not have had Nia Jax? Sorry, Charlotte versus Shayna Baszler this week?
Because they have rubber matches consistently three
Mm,
weeks in a row.
yeah, but
Every program's
but
3 weeks.
these matches that don't make sense, and this is my problem. Is like, you know, why can't you do it in one match, right? If you're not gonna give somebody a title shot, or you're not gonna go into a program with them, which let's face it, Nia Jax is not now because they've proven that by throwing Alexa Bliss out there. She's the program, she's the next feud. Okay. So why did you not just put Shayna Baszler in there or a Liv Morgan or somebody else? Give them TV time, let them have a
Why
shot with
isn't
Charlotte Flair.
okay? And reverse on the other program, you advertised Tony Storm for a month. You have her on 1 week. Tony Storm's my favorite, by the way. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
But her and Cora Jade on NXT. But anyway,
Yeah. No,
you
but
know,
you're right, mate. And as I say, it looks like we're getting the
bring these people up. Let them
yeah,
have some airtime, man.
yeah. But and the thing is that frustrates me
Stupid.
is I get like, say for instance now, right, you've got a Roman Reigns in a feud with Brock Lesnar, right? That's fine because that's a big feud that's going on, right? Not a problem with that. So you're not gonna put a Drew McIntyre or uh, anybody, Seth Rollins, anyone against Roman Reigns because he's in a
Miz,
feud.
yeah.
He's in a feud with Roman Reigns. That's fine, right? Now Charlotte Flair is going to a feud with Bliss. Fine, no problem. Becky and Bianca
Bianca.
Belair have got their feud going on. Absolutely fine, not a problem. But when you haven't got feuds going on, use your superstars. Stop just putting the same figure match on. It's like, for instance, when you see, oh, we're going to have a rematch from SummerSlam. Why? Why? This is your big problem and why you are losing views because people have seen that match. If people watch your show, they've watched that pay per view, especially the fact that it's on a network where they get all this other content and they don't have to watch. They
Yep.
don't have to pay for the pay per view anymore. So why do we want to see the match twice?
If you combine the two companies, they would
Hmm.
fix each other's problems.
No, no.
AAW has Fuego del Sol on there 2 weeks in a row in your new show. Okay. He's a lower card guy. This guy ain't going to break records. Okay. And he's there because it's all fun. All right. He's Sammy's friend, whatever. You could
Mm,
take somebody that's on the undercard. Remember, we heard reports of Bo Dallas sitting
mm,
in the back,
yeah.
getting a paycheck.
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Good for him. Put him out there. People loved him back.
Mm,
He was over. The guy was over in NXT. He was one of the first champions. The guys,
mm.
mix it up.
Yeah. Okay. NXT then. I'm gonna let you use this because I didn't watch NXT this week because I haven't been watching the recorded ones and I did catch up on it, but
Sure. Yeah, we'll go over a couple of things. Kind of Samoa Joe is just floating around. You have a bunch of people that want to go for the title. Me personally, because we're not going to really touch up on this. There's a couple different points I'll go through. Kyle O'Reilly is, to me, just becoming just a great talker. Okay. And I love hearing his personality. I love hearing Champa. So they did their interviews. The main thing here is the bachelor party of Dexter Loomis, which brought along the zombie referee that Cameron Grimes had in the match with what was it, last Halloween, in that
mm,
crazy match that he had where he's afraid of zombies. So if you just want to hear personalities, watch this, please. Same thing with Indy Hartwell too. Her bachelorette party, that was fun. They had a tag team women's match that was really good. But I will say this: Io Shirai does not convince me that she is tough. She tells a
mm.
woman that's about 7 inches taller than her, that's about 18 inches wider than her, I don't need your backup. I think she was one of the worst NXT
I
women's
think you do.
champions.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't like how should I either.
Yeah, so the what is she, the goddess of the sky or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that. If you want some entertainment that kind of brings a throwback to the early '90s wrestling, watch this show because there's good wrestling matches on it too.
Mm,
You'll see the two guys from Diamond Mine. They're trying to make that an established stable, which they just house these two jobbers, which is what you need to put over
mm.
this formidable group.
Yeah.
I think that's because who did they just let go out of that? They just let
Oh, what was his name? No. I don't think for the life of me.
I forget. They just let somebody go, so they're trying to bring more faces in there.
Yeah.
I will say this: Pete Dunne came out. Ridge Holland is
Mhm.
going to be he's going to be contending for a title at some point.
Mm.
I don't think personally he's there, but I think he's a guy. What do you think of Ridge? He broke his leg a
Yeah.
few months ago
Actually,
from
which
taking that dive.
and that put him back a little bit, but now we're starting to see him slowly but surely coming back into it.
Yeah, I like how they're marketing him, especially with
Yeah.
Pete Dunne. Pat McAfee, we didn't talk about this.
Mm.
McAfee sent out a tweet with the gif of his face over Adam Cole saying, "I'd leave too." Guy was made to be an entertainer. Not only
Yeah.
was a Hall of Fame punter, um, but he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He will be very soon. I think he
Mm.
should be because of how he played the game. But this guy loves the sport of professional wrestling, and it
Mhm.
shows. But yeah, that's basically NXT. I do say watch it, skim through it because it's definitely a good background and it's fun to watch this
Yeah.
week. Nothing crazy. So, and that's
Okay, go.
NXT.
Right. Good stuff. Cheers for that, mate. I am looking forward to the restart this week. So I will be paying a lot of attention to it this week. Okay, so we're going to move on to AEW Superstars Shotgun Saturday Night Rampage. Uh, so yeah, for me, this show is it's filler. It's for some, they're trying to make it into its own show. Get your second hour, get it a live show, and you start putting the matches on it. You'll have it. But at the moment, it just feels like Sunday night heat shotgun, Saturdays, WWE superstars. It's got that kind of feel to it, you know, think.
We enjoyed the match of Pac and Andrade. The match, about 90% of it.
Mm.
I thought that double foot stomp from Andrade onto the floor looked cool, but that's a dangerous bump
Yeah.
onto
Pac's
Pac.
always
Was
done being dangerous bump stuff, hasn't he?
Well, Andrade did it to him.
Mm.
Pac laying him up, and then just the way he landed. You can't look cool landing that. There's
No.
a very minimal chance of you landing on both of your feet
Yeah.
doing that. But he
And
tried to do that twice.
it was a good match. It was a good match. But you know what I found when I was watching this, and I don't know why it just kept coming into my head. And I'm not an AEW fanboy. I'm not a WWE fanboy. I'm a wrestling fanboy, right? And the one thing that just made me sit there and laugh was get Andrade over to AEW. He'll do massive things over there. WWE are misusing him. What's he done since he's come there?
Well, this is what he's done. His second match on TV, and now it looks like he is on his way for his third manager.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to know when he's gone, what's he going to say?
Yeah. And that's my
I
thing is like, I just look at it
Huge
and think,
talent.
I think to myself, he will end up back in WWE. I can see it. I can see it a mile away. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is interesting because I just look and think he's not going to be content doing what he's doing. And he'll always have that line of communication with him because of Charlotte Flair. And any idiots who think Charlotte Flair's going to AEW, no, she isn't. Not happening.
No,
You know
Rick
what I
even
mean?
said it.
Yeah,
Rick even
yeah,
said it.
it's not happening. But it just makes me laugh, that like s- because AEW is there, and this is not a dig at AEW, as we've talked, they're doing a fantastic job. But it's so easy for a wrestling fan now to go, they need to go to AEW. AEW will know how to use them. Like, it's not
They
always
don't.
going to be the case. No, just because
No.
they're there. It's like me personally, I would like to see Bray Wyatt turn up in Impact. If it wasn't for the Dark Order, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I really want to see the Dark Order with Bray Wyatt, so that's why I want to see him there. But I would love to see one of the big ones go to Impact and
Yep.
then take Impact to a new level. Help them get up there a little bit more instead of them using the Forbidden Door, have their own bargaining
They
chip in the
won't.
Forbidden Door.
They're not going to stop doing that
No,
because
no, but it'd be good for them to have their own bargaining chip for the door to swing open the other ways as well.
I agree. Well, that's the Good Brothers.
Yeah,
Why they're terrible.
they're not
And
exactly they're not bargaining chips, really, are they?
can we just call them the Bad Brothers?
Soggy
I'm,
chips.
you know what? Wait a minute. No, it's Jesse and Festus too.
Yeah.
2.0. That's
Yeah.
the real 2.0. And folks, if you're watching, take a look at Jesse and Festus and see what that was.
All right, so
Uh,
apart from that, mate, there was nothing else really of note on Rampage. I don't, as I say, I feel like Rampage is just kind of like your Sunday night heats and whatnot. At the moment, it's not really thingy.
one
Um,
point is one thing I want to point out is
mm,
this week on between the two AEW broadcasts, how much camaraderie did the announced team have?
yeah,
They flowed off each other.
mhm.
And why is that?
One,
Excalibur wasn't there.
yeah, he's getting married, wasn't he?
Yeah. I
Mm,
wish he gets married every week.
yeah, it
He
did look
called it
better.
he called it on Sunday or Saturday at All Out. There was a tope suicida
How,
from Eddie
how is it?
Kingston,
How has
and
he
then
ended up on the commentary team there?
what's that?
How does he end up on the commentary there? Because I just don't get why they picked him for it.
Because he sucks. No, because I'll tell you why. He's not terrible. If he has people to coax him into leading him into things,
Mm,
they're obviously making him into this guy that's going to do the full play-by-play, and he's doing that. When he goes to commercial, he's good. He keeps momentum
mm.
going, and
The
I
one
see
thing
that
I will say to you is, and I don't know, do you like the whole three-man commentary team, or do you prefer the two-man or
every sport,
two-person?
every
But in
sport.
wrestling,
Um, I'm kind of not liking the dynamic in NXT a little bit because I
mm,
think that people are starting to create their own personalities more. Like Beth Phoenix, I saw she's rooting for marriages and weddings, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe that's a girl thing coming out, so I'll let that slide. But the three-person team, I thought first of all, remember when they started splitting up the announce booths when they had the split brand pay-per-views that
mm,
would come in, so you'd have the SmackDown team, the Raw team. That
yeah,
worked out well.
yeah,
You know, the three-man team, I think Tony and Taz and JR
mm,
really fed into each other nicely. That's because look at JR and Taz back in the day. They were, they worked with each other for how many years?
mm,
But look, I like it if not everybody's trying to put their own spin on it. You talked about Shivani before with Adam Cole and that whole thing.
mm.
How can somebody be an impartial character, call MJF a piece of shit, and then root for a heel girl?
Yeah,
They booked themselves into a stupid, stupid thing right there. I
mm,
think to me, I'm Tony Schiavone is just laughing there. He reminds me of an old geriatric man
yeah.
that's
I like
sitting in
Shivani
memory.
though. I do
I
like
like him
Shivani.
too, but he's just like, hello, fellow kids. He's that meme.
Yeah.
I don't. He's just trying to fit in, and he's just there for the check, which
You
is
think?
fine. Absolutely.
I think
He
JR's more there for the check than him.
JR's trying. In the beginning, he was doing as best as he could,
Mm,
but when he's calling out, well, did you guys expect a referee here? Listen to JR. He knows now that there's things that just don't make sense, and you hear in his voice how he's burying the referees for.
mm,
Did you expect them to stop the match?
yeah. And on that point, fuck Aubrey.
Thank you. It's right. Hold on, not to get too much on this. For a woman that says, "Oh, I don't want to be part of the, I don't want to be the whole ordeal and whole part of the show," she seems to love that attention
Oh,
on
she
her, huh?
does. She does. The one thing is, I think it's every week we've got to at least say fuck Aubrey Edwards once, and
Yeah,
I'll continue to
yeah.
do it. She wants to be in the spotlight. We'll give her a bit of a spotlight here and just tell her to go fuck herself every week.
I've purposely, all I see is just shit on Twitter for her
Mm,
about praising her. Why?
yeah.
She's awful. She used to be good. Now she's just completely buried.
Mm,
When an object gets thrown into the ring right away, DQ. That's what used to happen. We're not doing the Bill Watts can't do moves off the top rope sort of crap.
yeah.
But it's just there's some referees there that do their job very well.
Mm,
Not the old dead guy who does all the Young Buck matches.
mm,
During the Young Buck match last week? Do you remember when they were all four did the super kick, super smash bullshit,
yeah.
and then
And
he's like
slaps his
this.
arms.
This is what he does. Get up.
Yeah,
What?
I know
What do
he's
you
a
think?
tit, isn't he?
They're dead.
One thing
They're
I'll
dead.
say is we'll move on from that now. My favorite referee is Charles Robinson. I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
Keeps himself out the way, does his job, and then gets out of there.
Yeah.
You
Who
know,
was your favorite all-time ref?
oh, I'm gonna say it's a tie for me.
Nick Patrick and
No, Tim White and Jimmy Cornelius for me.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You should give Jimmy a follow on Twitter.
I do. I do. I'll follow him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he'll point out stuff like just subtle things that you
yeah.
don't think about.
His ref and rants, the brilliant.
He's great, man.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. But yeah, I agree. Look, I loved Hebner too back in the day because there was parts where the screw job kind of sucked. He got screwed into that. No pun
Yeah, and
intended.
the whole stupid bit Jordan the invasion as well.
Oh, yeah, but that's like people don't remember the striking refs back in the day, huh? The
No.
ref strike.
Yeah.
Jimmy Corderas crossed the picket line.
Mm-hmm. Is it? So,
Yeah.
anyway, let's move on to SmackDown. Okay, so not do you know the match card on SmackDown right now? I watched SmackDown before and I was thinking there wasn't a lot of matches in this. And I was thinking, how many matches was there in this match? And I couldn't think
No,
about
you
it when
had
I was watching it, yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, how many wrestling matches were on Raw on SmackDown last night?
Oh, on SmackDown last night
Mm-hmm.
or combined
On SmackDown last night.
on SmackDown? I believe there's 3.
3 in a 2-hour show.
Yep. No. All sizzle. All sizzle, man.
Stupid.
But they sold it, and it was the highest grossing SmackDown in New York.
And it was a good show. 10-man tag team show.
Mm.
10-man. I mean, obviously, don't forget as well is the MSG would have got a lot of dark matches probably as well before and after and whatnot. Which would be interesting to find out what they were. I'm gonna have a look at that in a bit. The 10-man tag was what it was. Got a few faces on TV to try and fit in with the rest of the segments that they had to do.
Good story being told though with Brock and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman.
Yes, very good story. It's very complex story, and I believe that they are building this for WrestleMania. I don't think
Yep.
we're going to see this anytime sooner. We may see it in Saudi, but we may see a screwy finish, which prolongs it again and again and again. And then Brock will go off on a sabbatical, probably come back and win the Rumble.
Do you think the people in Saudi are going to be like, we already saw this? If they do Lesnar and Reigns, do you think they would actually be like, oh, what, again?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? You got to sell them on something. You might do, or you might get Edge versus Reigns in Saudi.
That would be cool.
Because
Yeah.
it'll be Edge's first trip there, won't it? And get some of that Saudi money.
Will Beth go?
No. No.
Yeah.
No. That's Natalia's gaff, that, isn't it? She loves the fact that she wrestles in a baker or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We made history. Well done, love. The only bit of history you'll ever make. Then we Edge Seth Rollins. Again, awesome match. I want to see this feud progress. Not happy to see it all, but we only just seen it at SummerSlam. Give us a break, man.
Yeah.
No, again, we'll go. Why could you not have had them in a tag team here with somebody else, or Rollins facing somebody and then Edge facing somebody, and keep them about each other and maybe have a little rant at each other after the fact or whatever. But why have we? This is just that we're an MSG match. This
Kind of like the Sharks at Bay sort of aspect. Like, they're always going to be around. But knowing WWE, they're going to put them with Cesaro again, or they're going to have Rollins face Cesaro again, which we're not going to crap all over that. We think highly of Cesaro.
a great match again. It's just Forrest Gump is a great film. And before I will not have you swear any differently. But if I sat down and watched it 4 times in a matter of weeks, it soon wouldn't be. And that's it's exactly the same thing that's happening here. We've got other superstars on, and we're meant to have depth on our roster for a reason. Use it. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns segment, very, very good.
Yep.
If you
Yep.
haven't seen it, make sure you go and check it out. You know, the fact that they got a bit physical in this, I thought was really, really good. Do you know what I mean? The fact that like Roman Reigns hit Lesnar with the super punch. Then we had the F5 and whatnot. You know, best segment on TV for a long, long time.
Yeah, you're protecting an image too,
Yeah,
because he wants to only get paid for what he does during pay-per-views.
and I'm always very critical of WWE for storytelling, but I feel like they got this really bob on. I thought they really got this onto the T here, and it's just adding layers to the story with the Heyman factor and everything else. I feel like this is it's got a lot of legs in it, this story, and it can go for a long, long while. And I'm not mad at that.
Who is agenting this whole thing? It's got to be
Mm.
Paul, right?
Oh, it's got to be Paul. Well, apparently
Got
Roman
to be
Reigns
Paul.
does his own creative, and obviously Lesnar does, doesn't he? And obviously Lesnar's got a good relationship with Brock.
Yeah,
Roman
yeah,
and Brock have come before. Obviously, Heyman will be the intermediate, and both guys will trust Heyman to make good decisions. Match made in heaven, really is.
yeah. No,
Um,
I believe that Paul's got his hands all over this, and he
yeah,
should.
yeah. And it should just be don't with the fact that you only have Lesnar a certain amount of times over the year and whatnot. Don't rush it. Let it
Yep.
mature. Let it build. Let it build. Let it build. Talking about Bianca versus Becky contract signing. It got it. It wasn't a bad segment. I like this segment, but this feud ever since SummerSlam, it's just it's left a left a bad taste in my mouth because of the way that they done it.
Yep. And the first thing I thought when I saw that coat was in Batman Forever. I'm sorry, in Batman and Robin, she looked like Uma Thurman when she first unveiled herself as Poison Ivy,
Mhm.
and she was in that gorilla costume
Yeah.
with that big giant fur coat. She could dress like that. I think she would be better off dressing like that.
Mm,
Because everybody said, "Oh, look, she turned heel now." You could have waited.
mm,
Becky could have said, "You know what? I'll fight you at this time." Blah blah blah. And then as Bianca's about to win at Extreme Rules, all of a sudden, bam! Seth helps Becky get a foreign object out and beat her. Then the
yeah.
next Friday, Becky comes out all healed up with
Yeah.
that coat on, that smuggish look,
Mhm.
because then you could bring the two together and they could interact like that.
Yeah.
The groundwork, though, right now is in for Rollins kind of looking as a remorseful turn into a heel
Mhm.
because of how Edge ended up getting hurt last night.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're gonna do. I think that if you paired them like a Miz and Maurice,
Mm.
but a more credible, you know, that's a whole other topic.
Bonnie
That
and
topic that
Clyde.
we could do. Yeah, exactly. And that's okay. It's not going to be like Stephanie and Triple H, but you have two guys that are active wrestler,
Mhm.
like the power couple, I guess you could say.
Why not? Why not me? All right. Well, we'll wrap it up from here, mate. We're on the hour mark here now. We're going to try and keep these to an hour now, guys. I know we've kind of gone really over on certain ones, but if we have to go over it, it's only because the content needs it. So, but anyway, until next time, Pantera, thanks so much, mate, again, as always. And
Hey,
guys, thanks so much for all the support that you're giving to us. It's really, really appreciated. And please do keep hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel, and get active with us in the comments. Really, really like that. And until next time, guys, that was This Week in Wrestling. So take care. See you again. Bye now.